What if you bought your dream home only to have a nightmare pop up next door? Think about how frustrating it would be to have the perfect home built with a beautiful kitchen, spacious bedrooms, and plenty of living area for your family to enjoy, and a backyard that makes you feel like you live at a resort, only to have that serenity ripped away from you when the developer sells the land next to your home to the state to lay the path for a new freeway. And to make matters worse, what would that do to your property value? I've seen this happen firsthand, and in this video, I'll be sharing with you some tips on how you can spot the warning signs before you take the plunge and sign the contract to build your dream home. If you've ever been into a new development, you've experienced the same thing that every buyer does who walks into the model home. You get to see these gorgeous renderings of the community, complete with a pool and lush landscaping, and then the sales office proceeds to tell you about all the cool businesses that will be coming soon. Great restaurants, high-end grocery stores, boutique shops, almost like you're getting in early before all the other buyers come rushing in to buy. It's everything you could ever ask for in a community. But how do you know that they're going to follow through on those promises? Well, to answer that, let's take a look at a perfect case study. And it's the community I live in, Eastmark in Mesa, Arizona. Some people who live in the master plan community of Eastmark, found in Mesa, Arizona, believe they were told one thing and given something else entirely. What lies were the developers of this community caught in? But before we get to that, we need to tackle a term you'll hear thrown around a lot in these large communities in Arizona, which is master plan community. So what does that actually mean? Let me show you. Coming from California to Arizona, I had never heard of the term master plan community. There aren't a ton of new residential developments happening in and around the coast of California. When we started the search for moving to Arizona, several people told us about Eastmark and said we would love it. This I promise you. It's a master plan community with so many amazing things. Well, what are those amazing things? When you hear of a master plan community, you have to think of it as a neighborhood where all the things you need are in close proximity. It's almost like creating a mini town within a larger city. So what happened in Mesa, Arizona? When the developers acquired a massive chunk of land in the far southeast corner of Mesa, they began planning an oasis in this isolated patch of desert that would attract massive interest from homebuyers who were looking for a high-end community. As the development began and people started to explore and buy there, they were told that along with buying a new home at a great price, they were sold that original vision. It was going to come with shops, parks, schools, and even a hospital. The most exciting development that many of the early residents of the community were promised was the plan for a large resort-style hotel with a convention center along with a pristine 18-hole championship golf course. But if you take a look at the signature hole of this course, this is what you're going to find.
Is this?
Obviously, you're not a golfer.
The original plan was for Gaylord Hotels to build this epic resort, convention center, and 18-hole golf course. But the company ran into financial troubles and was sold to JW Marriott, who decided not to run with the plans and instead moved them to Colorado. But how could a data center be built on the land that was supposed to be zoned for a golf course?
Good question. You are a good question.
This is where one of the lies comes into play. See, what happened here is the surrounding land that was to be developed for the Gaylord Resort was zoned for mixed-use zoning, or also known as flexible zoning. This type of zoning is key in the development of a master plan community. It's this specific type of zoning that allows for the developer to bring in all the amazing amenities that the community wants or needs. The selling factor is to sell the homes, to make the money, to bring in more people, and then it's off to the races for the community growth. But what happened here? Once a resort was moved and the land was sold back to the city, the zoning allowed for the potential surrounding growth of mixed use turned into massive growth of warehouse buildings. Rather than this community being surrounded by shops, restaurants, and small businesses, it's been walled in by massive data centers, an Amazon fulfillment warehouse, and many more.
I got a bad feeling about this.
So instead of me finishing up on 18 and enjoying the picturesque backdrop of the Superstition Mountains, there's a 50-foot concrete wall that is now the home of Facebook Meta's newest data center. But what about all the other promises of multiple community pools with a massive great park, you ask yourself? Well, part of that has happened, but after 10 years, the community of Eastmark has one pool for over 18,000 residents who call it home. Can you imagine what that place looks like in the peak of summer on a 110-degree day? Packed. But it's also a great way to meet your neighbors and their kids.
Howdy ho, neighbor,
So I bet you're wondering, what could those buyers have done differently, and how do developers get caught up with promises they can't deliver on? Let's dig into that. If you walk away with one thing from this video, I hope it's that you know exactly what to spot and consider when buying, especially in a new development. As you begin your home buying journey, you need to have a clear list of must-haves and then negotiables. That's especially important when the neighborhood or community is still being designed, planned, and brought to life. So consider this. Most of the commercial development around these communities have spent years in the planning phase before any shovel hits the dirt. So as a potential buyer, you need to be asking the developer questions. What businesses have already pledged to go in nearby? Has the city approved those plans? Are there leases in place? All that is stuff that can easily be found out with some research on the buyer's part, and your realtor can guide you as you navigate all the questions. But this is not the end of the story. While neighbors in the community have felt the walls closing in, they have decided to make their voices heard. One of the many great things about a community like Eastmark is every single person who lives here wants it to remain the best community in Arizona. But here's the kicker. Even though the zoning is flexible, there's still a process. Developments like these often go through reviews and need approvals, so there's a chance for community input. If you're living in or moving to such an area, stay informed, and being involved is key. You can attend city or community meetings to express your thoughts or concerns about the direction your neighborhood is taking. From firsthand experience as a resident of our wonderful community of Eastmark, I can promise residents aren't going to let the city wall us in. We are demanding what we were promised, and it's beginning to take place. There are a lot of exciting developments coming our way, and I, for one, am ready for it. If you were like me, wondering what to look for or how to spot it, I think the best thing you can do is have a conversation with yourself or your family to really figure out what you want out of your new home. Any new development is going to be surrounded by businesses, and those potential amenities are great, but the more businesses there are could mean more traffic, and more traffic can mean more noise. So before you decide on where to move, take a look at the area's zoning plans to get a feel for what the future holds. It will help you envision what your new community might look like and ensure it aligns with what you're looking for in a neighborhood. Now, despite the early hiccups with the development and the industrial buildings going up around us, we still chose to buy an Eastmark anyway. You may wonder why that is, which is why you should watch this video right here, where I'll explain why, despite all of that, we still felt this was the best place for our family.